In today's video, we'll put the two new painting lines released by Ammo to the test, Ionic and Atom, in order to discover if both are the same. Additionally, you'll learn how to pass the color scheme from an artwork to a figure, to get a surprising result. So if you're ready, let's start. The Ionic set includes 12 basic colors. In this video, I'll test if its formulation is equivalent to the Atom basic set. Even though the hues are kind of different, there are subtle differences in the color selection. I'll start with the yellow ones from both ranges. First, I put the Ionic's yellow on the wet palette by Redgrass Games, followed by the Atom's one. The Atom one flows fine when I drag it. I do the same with the yellow one by Ionic, which flows properly as well, but seems to have a better coverage. I move to the red ones and the same. The red one by Atom provides a low coverage in the first, while the red by Ionic flows perfectly with a good broachability. With just one layer on each shoulder pad, it's clearly noticeable the better coverage of one of them. I apply a second layer to validate the final result. Clearly, the Ionic and Atom formulations are different. Next, I'll test the yellow ones by airbrush. First, the Atom one, which flows perfectly straight from the bottle. I add some drops of Spanish water and mix them up. I do use 1.8 pressure bars and a 0.4mm needle. I apply thin layers till I get a proper coverage, and I get a good result easily. Now the Ionic's yellow, which is thicker and requires more water to be diluted. I apply thin layers, even some lumps are present. This could be fixed by using thinner instead of water. At this quick test, the Atom paints seem to flow better when airbrushed, while the Ionic one's formulation seems to be more consistent, without pigment separation, unlike the Atom ones. I have to say that this separation is not a serious defect. It's common in some brands such as Citadel, some yellows by AK, even the old formulation of Game Color. Luckily, the new Game Color formulation already fixed it. After this quick testing, I consider that the Ionic paints are perfect to apply by brush, while the Atom ones should adjust their formulation to improve their performance by airbrush. This way, they'd have two ranges with different features, each one optimized for one technique. I want to highlight that this is just my humble opinion. As I always say, each painter must use the products that better fit its needs and preferences. That's what matters in the end. I'll use the basic Ionic set that includes 12 colors to paint a Word Miniatures figure, using this color scheme. I do mix the base tones and use the Geraldus Infinity CR Plus with a 0.4mm needle and 1.8 pressure bar. I try out the dilution on my hand. It flows fine. Now I'll apply thin layers till covering the whole surface. I apply the base color by thin layers, followed by a mixture of red and blue to darken and cool down the shadow areas, creating an ocell effect like the one in the artwork. I apply pure red unmixed to boost the OSL effect. If you dilute the paint a little more, you'll improve fluidity and accuracy. It's time to paint the clothes. I put on the wet palette blue, brown, black and ochre. I mix them to get an aged cream color, which is great to paint the turban on the head. I add green and blue to create a new mixture. I create another mixture as well with blue and brown. I started painting the clothes. As the color scheme is desaturated, I'll mainly use brown and ochre tones. I keep a dim illumination on the clothes, since I want to get a dull and dark result. To paint the face, I mix a skin tone with the color I used to paint the turban, and use it for the base color. Like the clothes, the face has a desaturated color, which helps to maintain consistency on the palette. I take advantage to paint inside the eyes of the ghost in white. Since I'll paint them in red later on, a light base will help to get a strong and flashy red effect. I highly dilute a mixture of all the dark colors on the palette. And apply it as a wash over the entire figure, which will add definition in a quick and effective way. Once the wash dries, I start highlighting, starting by the face, as it's one of the four most important areas of the figure. By using a light color, we'll make it to stand out. To illuminate the turban, I'll use the original mixture, plus a little white. This, I'll emphasize the more illuminated areas. Adding textures to details like the belt could be interesting, since we'll make it look more real and dynamic. The pupils' color is turquoise green. I paint them half moon shaped to add a different touch. I added a little white to paint a dot in the eye, to make it more realistic. I painted a half moon on the lower part of the eyes to add luminosity and emphasize them. I apply a red base color to the gemstones on the forehead. Then I gradually add orange and yellow to highlight them, finishing with white points of light. I apply a wash inside of the demon's eyes. Then with orange I intensify the effect. I paint the lower part of the demon fingers in red. As you can see, I'm following the official color scheme. With orange, I highlighted the red areas of the horns as well as the rear part, where I applied an OSL, Object Source Lighting. Observing the min and noticed that the red areas and the OSL were not intense enough. To fix it, I diluted fluorescent orange by Vallejo and applied some layers to boost the color. I've achieved a more vivid color, but without overdoing it, since I want to stick to the desaturated color scheme. For the turquoise OSL, I may mix these three colors, but it might be difficult to get the same hue. So I'll use turquoise from Game Color to save time. I dilute it with Spanish water and apply the OSL. I mix white with turquoise to mark the highlights of the OSL. Later I'll apply some glazes over it with the OSL fluo, which will help me to increase the saturation. I dilute the Fluo 1 with Spanish water, the best water worldwide. If you like the fluo colors, I suggest you to watch this video. I'm sure you'll love the way I do use the orange fluo there. With these glazes with fluo, I smooth the transitions that look not very aesthetic, plus added a pinch of saturation, without overdoing it.